Hello, my name is Alessio Bernardelli and I'm one of the Field Development Officers at NGO Fellow Cymru. Now, my talk is today about my journey through the mind, and in particular, why can't my kids mind map? Well, I believe that part of the reason was that initially, a few years ago, I believed I could mind map effectively, and I believed that I was teaching my learners to mind map, but in fact I wasn't. So take for example this mind map. Now what we have here is a template with some bubbles and some spaces for the learners to complete this mind map about forms of energy. Now back in the days when I believed I was able to mind map, I thought that just putting bubbles on the screen and writing full sentences in the bubbles was actually useful. So eventually, after the learners had put their inputs, I could reveal what I thought I would have done. And there are some useful things like images obviously are always an important feature of mind mapping, and I try to put animated images as well on this PowerPoint presentation, and this is certainly a better way of taking notes than linear note-taking. However, I still have many elements of linear note-taking in this mind map. For example, in the bubbles I have full sentences which limit my ability to create associations between different concepts. So everything changed when I realized that the reason my kids couldn't mind map was that they've never done it. Everything changed when I was in Cardigan in an Oxford shop and I found the mind map book from Tony Buzan, and it was the best educational book I've ever read for the reasons that it explained to me what mind mapping really was, and also the mind mapping rules or mind mapping laws that really opened up the reason why there are rules to mind mapping and why following the rules is far more effective. As I mentioned before, there are various rules to mind mapping, but the rule that I think is the most important one and that really makes a big difference when mind mapping is to write one word in each branch only. And the reason is that by doing so, you are maximizing the number of associations that you can create. For example, if I were doing a mind map on motion and I were to add a branch on constant speed, that would now limit my choices on the daughter branches to only things that have to do with constant speed. So I'm limiting the potential of my mind map. So perhaps instead of constant speed, I could just have a branch for speed, and now I can add branches for constant, for, let's say, increasing speed, decreasing. I could have the units of speed, which are meters per second, and so on. So I have increased the number of associations that I can possibly construct with the concept of speed and not limit myself only to constant speed. So one thing I tried to do with my learners was to create a mind map following all the mind mapping rules and then narrating it for them using community clips. This particular mind map was made in PowerPoint. And the second stage was then to create a mind map and let the learners to write the script for the narration and do the narration themselves on community clips. The third step would have been then to get the learners to create their own mind maps and also to narrate them. So this is the first one that I made for them. Hello and welcome to a journey through my mind and obviously through magnetic fields. Let's start from this branch. What are magnetic fields? Well, by definition, a magnetic field is a region in space where a magnetic force is felt. So you get the idea. Now, I was narrating the whole mind map, and it was quite successful because the learners really understood then what I was thinking. Another thing that I tried to do is working with mind maps made in Prezi. So this is a mind map I created on the kinetic theory. And what Prezi allows you to do is to give a path to the different parts of your presentations. So I could then lead my learners through the particular path in the mind map that I want them to go through. I would probably use to actually create a template mind map with some branches, and then let the learners download from my account and use the Prezi in groups and create their own mind map out of that template for our topic. The great thing about Prezi is that you can also use Prezi collaboratively. It allows you to share Prezis and get the learners from different computers, maybe from different countries even, to work at the same time at the same presentation. So what a great way to collaborate to a mind map using Prezi. And another tool that I found is iMindMap. And the great news is that it is free. The basic version is free for anybody to download. This is the mind map that I showed you before on the forms of energy. So you can see how many more associations and links to each associations I could make by using the simple rules of mind mapping, which are not there to restrain you, but actually to free you and help you create really useful mind maps. So I can show you quickly how this mind map develops. So you've got forms of energy. Parts of forms of energy are stored energy, stored as chemical energy in foods, fuels, batteries, and so on. Then also type of stored energy is potential energy. That can be gravitational potential. Gravitational potential energy depends on the position. So you have that objects which are at a higher position have more gravitational potential energy, and objects which are lower have less gravitational potential energy. Then you also have elastic potential energy. That is due to objects which can be stretched, compressed, and see the emphasis of the images also, and the way I use the different branches, and also twisted. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little journey through my mind, and that you are convinced that mind mapping rules are there to help you rather than to restrain you. If you want to know more about mind mapping and the way I've used them, you can go to my blog, alessiobernardelli.wordpress.com, and here is a link to the Think Buzan iMindMap 5 that you can get for free.